Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stand Up Speakeasy. I'm your host, Srethney, and every episode I bring on a guest from all over the country that's a stand up comic. I'm trying to raise funds for them, as well as raising their funds for their favorite non profits and charities and getting their social media numbers up. Because while we're locked down, we might as well build each other up, and that's what comedy clubs are looking for is their numbers on social media. And we also want to do good for comics out of work and all the cool nonprofits and that are helping us out as well during these times. So with that being said, coming to the show is Max. Welcome to the show, Max. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Sarah?
I'm doing well. Thank you for being on the show today. It means a lot.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, what was it like performing stand up before this whole thing went down in Chicago?
It was a lot of fun. Zanies is a club I feature at that was, thriving before all this. Laugh Factory was doing well. I was doing shows around the city, going to New York and doing shows. And then all of a sudden, I remember my last show before all this. I remember being tentative about even going because that's when like the first few people in America had coronavirus, and we still didn't realize that it was going to be a pandemic. But I remember being scared to go to that last show, and it was a fun show. We It was just like any other Chicago independent bar show. It was a lot of fun. But then that was my last one there in quite a while.
Indeed, I've only been to Chicago once, but I loved it. I got to perform at the Red Line Tap when it was open still, and the Annoyance Theater, and those were some pretty cool spots. So,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I used to be obsessed with the Annoyance open mic. It was like the best open mic in the city,
Oh
and
wow.
I would get there like 2.5 hours before the sign up time to try to get a good spot, and other people would already be there because it was such a good mic. Yeah,
Wow.
good days.
That's awesome. And I heard a lot about Zanies and the Laugh Factory, and it's so cool that all those clubs are there. And from what I understand, they're slowly opening them back up, and which is
Yeah.
great for the scene. So, and while you were at Zanies, you were on the same bill as on the probably separate nights for Mark Norman, Donald Rawlings, Ronnie Chang, Bobby Slayton, and many more. And what are some of your favorite memories from all those shows?
Just how great the shows were. Mark Normand was one of the first people I got to feature for at Zanies. It was actually a co-feature. They had two feature acts. It was also like a little bit of an audition with the club. But that was like back in late 2017, I think. So he was really popular, with like stand-up fans, and now he even more so. He's great. But so the people were there to see good stand-up, and hopefully I provide that. And the shows were just so much fun. Watching him perform and work that crowd for so long was great. And over yeah, just like how great the shows were was what I take the most from it.
Awesome, fantastic. And you won the 2019 Chicago's Funniest Stand Up Tournament. And what was that feeling like?
That was like this group put it on. DAS Funny, Das Funny put it on, and that was the name of the tournament. So I get to say that I was Chicago's funniest stand-up. It was a lot of fun. It was just this multi-week March Madness style tournament. Um, like a bracket, and they had judges, and it was in this local bar, and yeah, it was really cool to win. It was a lot of fun.
Man, that sounds like a lot of fun for sure. I would totally pay money to see that. Hopefully, Florida does that because we're still wide open and no one wears masks. They're just pretty crazy out here, so it's awesome.
Yeah, Florida's off the chain. I can't imagine being there right now.
Indeed, most definitely. And I'm recording my magnum opus of stand-up comedy, and like it's like just an hour of open mic sets, like 12 of them or so.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm having the time of my life so far. It's in my home room in Daytona Beach, and it's so much fun. And
Oh wow. How's the Daytona Beach open mic scene?
they're amazing. Like it's so amazing that everyone from different cities, from even 3 hours away, would come and perform there because it's just they've done stand up for like this venue, the Trinidad Irish Pub, has done for like 11 years, and like Doug Stanhope one time crashed it and did time, and it was just the most. It's the most awesome venue ever. It's like it's a dive bar. The ceiling is low. The lights are intimate. Like it's just the most. The sound is perfect. It's everything you ever want in a comedy club or like in a comedy venue. It's just perfect, and it's like a block away from like the world famous Daytona Beach sign, so you can just walk to the beach right afterwards. It's just great.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Set
indeed,
and a swim.
absolutely, indeed. And so you also are part of the 2016 Midwest Comedy Competition. And what's that? What was that like?
That was at the comedy club, the Jukebox Comedy Club in Peoria, Illinois. And it was like another sort of tournament style thing from with comics from all around the Midwest. Um, and yeah, I went down there like 2 or 3 times, I think, and did it. Uh, and just it was really great. Every show, I just was feeling really good and doing really well. It was a lot of fun.
Indeed, most definitely. And you performed on the 2019 Keenan Thompson Ultimate Comedy Experience as well. And what was that experience like? Since there's the word experience in there.
Yeah, yeah, the Keenan Thompson Ultimate Comedy Experience. It was amazing. It was at the Laugh Factory in Chicago. Obviously organized by Keenan Thompson and Mary Lindsay, like a comedy booker and power player who's been really helpful and influential for me. Um, and Chris Red from SNL was the host, and there were about like 8 to 10 Chicago comics on it, doing about like 5, 6 minutes each, and it was great. I mean, the crowd was just on fire. Uh, Everyone was just there to have a good time. Um, Keenan was there as well, who I've been watching on TV since I was pretty young. So he's one of my favorite comedians, of course. So, well, favorite like sketch comedians, acting comedians. So that was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I've been with him since his All That days, and it's just awesome
Yeah,
just to see him grow
yeah,
and evolve. And now that he has his own sitcom, that's just pretty awesome. And
yeah, yeah. I've seen a lot of the advertisements for that. I need to watch an episode.
most definitely, indeed. And you also won the 2019 Fireball Whiskey Mother's Day Yo Mama Joke Off, and that's so rad. And what was that like?
That was pretty much what it sounds like. It was the Fireball marketing team. I organized this Mother's Day Yo Mama joke off. So first we did an audition a few weeks before that, brought our best Yo Mama jokes or something like that, and they just let everyone who auditioned do it, and they picked someone to host, and then we just got our jokes ready. I think we sent them in to be approved by Fireball, by Big Fireball. Um, and then we went there on Mother's Day, and it was a live stream just like this, uh, where the host was the host, and we squared off against each other with our Yo Mama jokes. And I just wrote some beautiful Yo Mama jokes. I just wrote some eloquent, creative, inspired Yo Mama jokes, and I deserved the trophy.
Man, that's awesome. And like I remember watching In Living Color, and like they had the Dozens sketch with Jamie Foxx, and there was one time that Ed O'Neill from like Married with Children was on there, and he was like in his Lazy Boy, and they were going at it. And
Yeah,
have you
Ed
seen
O'Neill
that?
from Modern Family.
Yeah, indeed. And that was when I got hooked to those Yo Mama jokes. And like my favorite Yo Mama joke of all time is Yo Mama's so greasy she slid into home plate and ended up in Detroit. And that's like my all-time favorite Yo Mama joke.
I've never heard of Yo Mama's so greasy. That's
Oh,
a fun adjective to use.
absolutely, most definitely. It was like from those one of those Joe Mama books, but I memorized them, and I snapped on everyone's moms in middle school, and I took on like two kids at once, and like the everyone just surrounded our lunch table. It was just bonkers. It was just a whole lot of fun. But you were born and raised in Bloomington, Indiana. What are some of your favorite childhood memories?
Favorite childhood memories. Oh wow. Probably just going around town with friends, on our own once our parents, granted us permission to be out on our own. It's a college town. So, you think of Indiana and you think of, deeply conservative and all that. But Bloomington is very much not like that. It's a very cultural and progressive and liberal town with Indiana University there. Um, so yeah, it's just a great place to grow up. There are lots of opportunities, lots of fun things to do. Um, Southern Indiana's a lot nicer, nature-wise than people would think. Just something like the glacier stopped there, the Ice Age glacier stopped, and so it didn't flatten everything. So it's a lot of rolling hills and forested areas and lakes and all that. So it was a great place to grow up. So just spending time with friends and my parents, pretty much. Uh,
Awesome.
Too many specific memories, I guess, to get into.
Most definitely. That's pretty. It's nice to like go and be in a college town, and my city is trying to be a college town, but in time it'll be there, like my hometown in Colorado. So we'll see what that's going to be in the near future. But so Max, these are the questions I wanted to ask you. Because I was hoping to go on tour, but the pandemic hit and I couldn't go on tour. So with that being said, Max, what inspired you to perform stand-up comedy?
I just always enjoyed being on stage and being trying to be funny on stage, I guess. Always sort of was something that was fun for me and came naturally, and I noticed it from a really young age. So, um, like in high school, I would do theatrical productions and always, go for the comedic role if possible. And then in college, I spent all 4 years in a sketch comedy group called Boy in the Bubble, and then that's when I realized that people could do stand up comedy. You sort of think when you're younger, like, oh, only stand up comedians do stand up comedy. But then I went to some campus comedy show with some really funny comedians on it. Uh, you might know Tom Takar. He's had a Conan set and I think another late night show set. And he's open for Nikki Glazer. He was doing stand up back when he was a college student. And that's when I realized, oh, like you can just do stand up. So I was already in the sketch comedy group. So I did a few stand up shows as a freshman. And then because I wanted to try it, it was very hard and intimidating, of course, but I liked it. My jokes were really stupid, but a few of them were decent. And then I did it sparingly. I was mostly focused on the sketch stuff. And then after pretty much senior year, I started doing stand up a lot more. And especially after getting broken up with out of a long term relationship, I just totally dove headfirst into stand up. And then I graduated, and it was a pretty easy decision to move to Chicago and keep doing it as much as I could.
Absolutely. And what was the feeling like when you first performed stand-up?
The very first time, it's just it was on my college campus at IU in the student union building in some room. It was just like some campus comedy event, and it was very nerve wracking because stand up's a difficult thing. And the first time you do it, just, you realize, oh God, like I hope what I wrote is funny to all these people. And then you start, doubting it and criticizing it. And I didn't do great or anything. I didn't do poorly. I don't really remember the details from that first show. I think I did a joke about like, why do we poop? Something something is dumb like that. But yeah, I wanted to keep going. I don't think I was like maybe head over heels in love with it at first. I hadn't really found my voice in it yet, and I was mostly just focused on my sketch group. But my love for it definitely started growing over the years. Sophomore and junior year, there was a local comedy club in my hometown that I started doing the open mic nights at. as well. So that, of course, lit a fire.
Most definitely. And what are your favorite comedy specials and comedy record albums?
Huh. To be completely honest, I don't, since I started doing stand up, I don't listen to as much stand up as I did before. I guess I love doing it. I love writing. I guess I'm just like a bit, I've seen so much live stand up at this point at all the shows. I'm just a bit tired of ingesting it, I guess. But I mean, I'll say that uh Mitch Hedberg's comedy, I think it's his Comedy Central special with like the sun background, and I think he sort of bombed at least for the opening like third of it. It seemed like he was bombing, but I watched that in college with my roommates, and that's when I realized also that comedy, that stand-up comedy could be like one-liners, like just jokes, not stories, not like, talking about what happened to you that day or whatever, just written jokes. And that opened my eyes to that, and I cracked my ass up watching him. Uh, when I was younger, I remember Brian Regan, of course, was killing me whenever I'd see him on TV. Um, Eddie Izzard, I really liked Eddie Izzard. Um, there's not like one comedy record that like jumps out to me though.
Indeed, most definitely. And some of those folks have been on TV and film, and I want to know what your favorite sitcom, sketch shows, and comedy films are.
Oh well, Curb Your Enthusiasm and South Park are probably my two favorite comedy shows. I think that's a pretty easy answer for me. And then, of course, I love Seinfeld and The Office and Veep. Is a great comedy show. Was it sitcoms and comedy shows or and movies or just
Yep,
sitcoms?
sketch shows and comedy films too.
Oh, sketch shows. Will Ferrell on SNL's just great. The Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig and that whole generation on SNL I really like. Um, I don't watch as many comedy shows as I used to. Uh, what am I watching any now? I'm not watching any right now. But Veep was the last one I watched that I really loved. Veep was incredible.
Indeed, and comedy films.
Well, growing up, I was obsessed. Me and my best friend are obsessed with like the Naked Gun movies and the airplane movies. If you know those, Leslie Nielsen and the Zuckers who make it, I think, and the Bruckheimers or whatever. Just those like zany gag movies, Wrongfully Accused. I loved like the Christopher Guest mockumentaries, Best in Show, and Spinal Tap, and Waiting for Guffman, and A Mighty Wind, and Office Space was a very formative comedy movie for me as well. Recently, it's sort of the same story. I haven't seen many recent ones that I've really liked too much that come to mind right now, at least. But those were definitely some of my Anchorman, of course. Every fifth grade, sixth grade, middle school sleepover, you're just quoting Anchorman half the night. All those like comedies that you grew up with, I feel like are the ones you like the most. Um, and I've seen pretty much all of them.
Indeed, and if you can go on tour with any comedian locally and internationally known, which comedians would you like to go on tour with?
Are we? Is one of them headlining and the others featuring, or are we splitting it? How's it working?
However you'd like. So,
Oh boy. Oh, that's a good question. I guess maybe. Oh man, one comedian I'd like to go on. So it can be someone I know here in Chicago, someone local, or it can be someone everybody knows.
yep, both.
Oh wow. Okay, if I were to pick someone locally, uh, I like this guy Oscar Carvajal a lot. I think he's easy to work with. He's easy to go before, easy to follow. Really funny every time. Every crowd likes him. Really likable. So I'd probably go with him locally. And then someone on a national level, oh God. I guess you have to think of who your style would mesh with, right? Um, I really liked opening from Mark Normand. I think his crowds liked me a lot, so I'd like to open for him more.
Awesome, fantastic. And if you can get roasted by 5 comedians, past and present, which comedians would you like to get roasted by?
I guess Larry David. Um, oh my God. I want I want Shaq to roast me. I want Larry David. I want Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal. Uh, wow. Who do I want to roast? I guess just throw Jeff Ross in there because he's the best roaster. Um, Wanda Sykes. Oh my God. And the fifth one, my friend Mike Bloomquist.
Awesome,
He roasted me
fantastic.
before, and he's fantastic.
Awesome. And where do you see your comedy journey in the next 5 years?
Like a lot of people at my level, like I didn't mean that other people aren't. I just mean at my current, like, professional level, semi-professional, whatever you want to call it. I'm not making all my income off comedy. I would like to be making all my income off comedy in the next 5 years. Of course, who wouldn't like to be? Um, I'm sort of just vaguely. I have scripts I've written. I'm trying to get interest in scripts. I've had some. Um, I'm just trying to like hope that building stand up, building your profile and your reputation, keep getting funnier, can also be can be a rising tide that lifts things like the scripts you've written, and then maybe if someone reads your scripts and those get momentum, that's a rising tide that will lift your stand up. And so I'm just going to keep continue. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, writing scripts, doing stand up, um, and just wait for this pandemic to, hopefully come to a conclusion and see what things are like when we're back to whatever normal is. That's the frustrating part is we don't know what normal will be like. We don't know what the comedy scene will be like once everything reopens. So there's a lot of wait and see also.
Indeed. And which other you've done sketch and such and writing scripts and which other forms of comedy would you venture off into like improv and directing and etc. podcasting?
Well, I love sketch. I love writing sketch and performing sketch, and I really like writing scripts. I took a few improv classes, in Chicago. It's sort of like what everyone does when they move to Chicago is you take a few improv classes. I enjoy doing improv enough, but it wasn't something that was really gripping me to pursue. And as for directing, when you make goofy sketch videos with your friends, sometimes you assume the role of a director, and that's always fun to think about it from that point of view. The directorial choices you can make to make something funnier. Um, but yeah, mainly sketch and sorry, my cat is on his bed. Mainly sketch and screenwriting, script writing.
Awesome. And what's your favorite joke a comic has written?
Favorite joke a comic has written? Oh boy. Um, I guess one that comes to mind is by a really r- probably the funniest comedian in Chicago. His name is Steve Gerard. Sort of like an anti-comedian. Um, sorry, it's my cat here. Uh, so he, he's very untraditional. So he's sort of walking around on stage. Yeah, love is in the air, Sarah. He's sort of walking around on stage, sort of like looking around in his pockets as if he lost something. And he goes, you know, if my coworker Barb ran for president, her slogan would be "Make America Late Again." And then he resumes. You know, the audience laughs. You know, it's a goofy joke. He resumes, sort of like looking around his pockets for something, and then he goes, after the laughter dies down, he goes, "Yeah, I guess her son's real sick or something." And that's it. So you have to see it, but that killed me because he just throws in like it means nothing to him. Yeah, I guess her son's real sick or something. And that's why she's been late, because this woman's son is potentially dying. So just opening with the really corny joke about make America late again. And then he's too busy even looking for whatever's in his pockets to like acknowledge the like tragedy that is her son being really sick. I really like that one, which is, it's not a famous joke, of course, but that's what comes to mind.
Absolutely. And what experience would you like your audience to leave with after a set is over?
uh, I just want them to feel like a little refreshed, I guess, like they just saw something that they haven't really seen in stand-up comedy. Something that um, made them think in a different way than they're used to, I guess, when watching stand-up. Uh, so I guess just being memorable is what it boils down to. Uh, but yeah, I want them to feel like they just saw something that they haven't seen before, but of course would like to see more of.
Indeed, most definitely. And for this episode, we're raising funds for the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless. And why'd you pick those fine folks to raise funds for today?
Oh, I mean, I just think it's a universal uh, issue that we all feel empathy and sympathy for people without homes, um, and it's a cause that I don't see any harm in donating to just try to help provide food and warmth and shelter for people who are seeking it out.
Indeed, most definitely. And Matt, so for the Stand Up Speakeasy, it's a show that where comics nominate comics to be on the show. It's like a like a speakeasy, like for the Prohibition, the Roaring Twenties, these current Roaring Twenties. And with that being said, which Chicago comics would you like to see on future episodes of the Stand Up Speakeasy?
Oh boy. Oh man. Uh so whoever I say, you're going to contact them, right?
Yep, and shine some light on them, put some money in their pockets, get some bigger following, and raise funds for their favorite charities.
Uh, I guess um Oscar Carvajal could would be a good guest. And if he can't do it, you can reach back out to me, and I'll tell you someone else.
Okay, sounds good. I'll reach out to as many folks as I can and try to do my very best to put Chicago and the entire state of Illinois on the map, and because that's what I'm doing with this whole thing for everyone from coast to coast. So, and for Max and your cool cat, and what's your cat's name?
That was MJ, and
Oh,
there's another cat named Willem somewhere around here.
awesome, fantastic! It was great for them to join it. For MJ to join us is pretty rad. So Max, thank you so much for being my guest today, and for the stand up speakeasy. And I look forward to meeting you once I move there for like 6 months and pursue some kind of theater. And you rock. And I'll be back up there in August, so hopefully we'll get to meet in person. So thank you for
All
being my
right,
guest.
Claire. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Max, and be well and take care of each other. Take care of yourself, and for everyone else, take care of each other and be well and be safe. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Stand Up Speakeasy.